welcome to Monday's Miracle Moment. And this week I'm here with Lynn Samita, right before our Monday study group. And, you know, these inspirational quotes that I bring up, they're totally random. I have no idea which quote is coming up when. Sharon, who is my graphic designer, puts them together and just sends them in a bundle to me. And they can't be switched around because she matches them with e-newses that go out. So this is the card for this week, which I think is an interesting card. I'll share the screen. Here we go. The card says, offer your brother the gift of lilies, not the crown of thorns, the gift of love and not the gift of fear. Just one more time, that's from chapter 20, which is the vision of holiness. Offer your brother the gift of lilies, not the crown of thorns, the gift of love and not the gift of fear. And why I think this is just so interesting and so synchronistic is because Easter is coming, not this weekend, but the following weekend. And so the next time we'll be meeting will be Easter Monday. So this card is kind of perfect timing. So I did give a little bit about it in another video. So maybe Lynn, when you hear this quote, it's obviously about the Easter weekend, the gift of lilies, not the crown of thorns, which they put on Jesus' head at the crucifixion. And so we are going to read this section this morning in preparation for Easter. And what does it mean to you?
Well, it was interesting, the whole metaphor of the crucifixion brought to mind how much we're in that mindset. It feels to me like in the world, like we're making people bad and wrong for all sorts of reasons, which is a form of crucifying people. I was just discussing a friend who's chosen not to be vaccinated and so has all these restrictions, and you know, the other person was just, it was beyond their ability to see how that could be a good choice in any way, shape or form, and really wanted to make that person so wrong. Right. And crucify them, and not just even at the individual level. It's like, how could they do this, you know, to everyone, like all their loved ones, all the family? Like, how could they not be a good person, a good Canadian, a good whatever? And the crucifixion story is really about that.
Yeah, and the Course says that we do crucify ourselves over and over and over again by making ourselves wrong and bad and flawed and separated. Really, the crucifixion separates us and creates death. And so really the whole Easter story ends up being more about, I'll just read a little bit here from it. It says, but a risen Christ becomes the symbol of the Son of God's forgiveness on himself, the sign he looks upon himself as healed and whole. So there is, of course, a crucifixion, but really the story of Easter is about the resurrection. It's about that there is no death, that death is an illusion.
Right.
And that nothing actually happened, which is such a huge leap. I get goosebumps just talking to you about it, Lynn, because it's such a huge leap, because we really want to believe. So your friend, in order to not want to forgive somebody who's made a different choice, it's about, you know, making people wrong, giving them the gift of thorns, making it about fear, making it about death. Like, how could they not keep other people protected from this thing, death?
Yeah.
Which is always sort of the end. If we don't do this, we're going to, quote, die. And so the whole Easter story really is, it's a total flip.
Yeah.
It's a total turnaround. Turn your world upside down to get your life right side up. So maybe your thoughts on that.
Well, it's interesting. I was just watching a program on various people whose ability is to connect to the other side. And so
Mhm.
they help people who've lost loved ones unexpectedly, tragically, circumstances that are very upsetting, with, all the unresolved questions that can go with that.
Mhm.
And over, the people who then connected with a son or a daughter or father or mother, they consistently said, I feel so reassured that it's not over. The relationship is not over. They feel, because of the communication, the bond is still there. And so it really speaks to how what's real and what isn't. So if I can't see it, touch it, feel it, hug you, you're not real. But this is saying over and over, but there's another form of connection. There's an energetic sense of it. There's the relationship, the love that lives on far beyond body. And so we're changing forms from a physicality to something. But it's really because programs like this are out in the world now, and books, and people like you have had your own experiences. I think today people are starting to lean into that idea. We kind of held death in a way that doesn't serve. And that 180-degree flip, I think it's a huge idea, but I think people are starting to be a little more open. And people who've had near-death experiences, talk about how afraid they were to share them and so on and so forth in many cases. But today it's becoming much more understood.
Absolutely. And that is something I would hope we can. I mean, if we could change our minds
Yeah.
and our thinking about this one issue, that we are more than our bodies.
Yeah.
We are also our mind and our spirit. We are the totality. It's
Yeah.
interesting that we just want to always separate off things
Yeah.
and say it's just this or it's just that. Why instead of this or that, either or, it can be and or all of this. And so it is so comforting. The resurrection is a comforting thought, to think that we do live beyond this physical life. And there's also, I know from my own near-death experience, that the thing I felt the most after having it was relief.
Yeah.
A deep sense of relief. Oh my God, I don't have to do it all in one lifetime. I was so driven when I was younger that I thought, oh my God, there's so much to do. How can anybody sleep? I mean, we just got to get it done. And
Right.
so when I had this near-death experience and realized very clearly, in the moment I thought was my death, my only thought was, my only care was for the people I loved. And so I realized love was the only thing
Right.
that mattered.
Right.
And everything else was just didn't matter. And so, yeah, I came back with a great sense of relief. Like I can live my life at a pace that has ease and flow, instead of sort of manic driven determination.
Well, and I think having listened to you, you also changed your priorities on what mattered. So what a gift to have greater clarity on what you want to spend your time on, what you want to invest in, what you want to share.
Absolutely. It became very clear to me what was important, what was real and what wasn't real.
Yeah.
And really in that moment, love was what was real. All the rest of it just disappeared. And so the gift of love, the gift of lilies, the gift of peace, and not the gift of thorns, which is the fear, which is what our whole society and our whole world is running on constantly, is all these images, fearful images and fearful thoughts. This morning hearing about the people in Ukraine that have just been gathered up and shot. And, it's just such awful imagery. And it just drives people to do things that out of defense, out of what they think is safety, out of what they think is moral righteousness, all these things. but sort of driven out of fear, it never amounts to anything good in the end. There's always people who are hurt, but rarely do people get hurt by real love. I mean, people will say I'm hurt by love, but I think the way they're hurt by love is perhaps I have expectations of that love that aren't fulfilled.
Yeah.
And that's not really love. That's a contract.
That becomes another reason to protect your heart.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
you know, when you were saying the only thing that's real is love, like that just touches my heart, because we know when we are being sent love, given love, in the presence of love. And so it's a great reminder to not be giving others the thorns. Let's give as much as we can muster the love and stay connected to that.
Yeah, let's give the lilies. So, well, thank you so much for being with me, Lynn.
Yeah.
Really been wonderful. We will say goodbye for this week, and we'll head off to our study group.
Yes.
Bye for now.